Hello, class. Today we're going to be talking about conflict resolution amongst coworkers. Um, and really, it can be used in any situation, even in personal relationships. Conflict resolution is a very good thing. So this will be kind of a two-part class. So instead of having a quiz for the second part of the class, I'm going to do another video where I talk about another type of conflict resolution. Okay, so what we're going to do is go over the different types. There's 5 different techniques for resolving conflicts. So I'll talk about them first. The first technique is called avoiding. So avoiding is like ignoring the problem and not addressing whatever the problem is, which in some instances is acceptable. Now, sometimes it's better to just walk away, especially if a situation is getting kind of out of hand. Sometimes it is good to just kind of take a break, take a breather, and avoid the problem, at that time. And maybe if you're upset or something like that, you can come back later to revisit the problem. But it's not the best, The next technique is accommodating. So accommodating is making the decision the issue isn't that big of a deal to you, so you do whatever the other person wants. So you're accommodating somebody else. Well, there are obviously problems that would arise in this situation. If you're going to accommodate somebody else, it might actually lead to more tension between the two of you after a while. If you're constantly accommodating other people and not speaking up for yourself and just saying, oh no, you go ahead, and whatever the situation may be, say you go ahead and you can, I don't want to fight, I don't want any problems, and so I'll just be accommodating. Which, again, it's not the best technique, because eventually it could kind of hit home that, you're kind of taking the brunt of everything. And it might become overwhelming or stressful. The next technique is dominating, which some people do. Dominating, otherwise bullying, someone to get what you want. So, we've gone over bullying in a class, I think it was last week. But again, bullying somebody isn't the right way to solve a problem between two people. When we start to bully, we kind of lose sight of the other person's feelings. We're not empathetic towards them. And they are not really, you don't really look at them as a person as much. You just look at them as somebody you can push around, which obviously isn't going to work well in a work situation. And you could actually get in trouble for it. So, it's something you want to avoid at any job that you might get in the future, or say you're working at the park or something like that. Things will get reported, and, it could end up coming back to bite the person. And we don't want that. We want to be able to teach people that, we don't need to, dominate. The next is compromising. So, compromising can be acceptable But what compromising is giving up something to get something, which might work fine for lingering issues, which might work fine, or lingering issues could crop up. So the difference between being accommodating and compromising is say, I'll give you this for that, or I'll do this if you do that, and we'll make a compromise. We'll say, this for that. The only problem with compromise is it doesn't work all the time. Like it says, lingering issues could crop up. Somebody might not want to be able to give something up, and you might not want to give something up. So sometimes it works, sometimes to be empathetic and compromise with somebody, but then sometimes you're kind of compromising yourself, and it can be problematic. The next technique is collaborating. So that's coming up with a solution so that both parties feel they have won and have not needed to make accommodations for the other person. And so a collaboration is like, let's both do this together. Let's figure this out together. Maybe come up with a solution to something. We'll collaborate on this, and maybe we'll even work better as a team. And so, collaboration, like all the other ones kind of bubble around. And in the middle, collaborating with all of these is center, and at the forefront. Okay, so I'm going to give a conflict and provide an example of each of the above techniques that could be used to resolve it. So I'm going to kind of cater it to program. And I do have to change one of the names because one of the names is somebody that goes to program, and I don't want to be busting them out, as everybody likes to say. But so two workers, let's say Billy and Bridget, are going to work at the park. And Billy usually arrives early to go to the park because, say, the park, we just got new equipment that everybody could use. And so Billy gets there a little bit earlier and always runs in and grabs the new stuff. And Bridget has a tendency to arrive at work after her coworker, so she's relegated to using the older equipment, but she does want to use the newer equipment. And so the older equipment does not have many of the upgrades that the newer equipment has. So Bridget thinks it's unfair that she rarely gets to use the new equipment because she doesn't get to work as early as Billy does. So Billy, busted myself out there. Billy is of the opinion that he is right in choosing any equipment he wants, since he arrives at work before his coworker. Okay, so let's go over the possible techniques that they could use to resolve this. So, of course, we have avoiding, accommodating, dominating, compromising, and collaborating. So let's go over the first one, which would be avoiding. So neither Billy or Bridget say anything about the problem to one another and continue to feel justified in their respective positions. But the conflict does not go away. So that's avoiding, where you just kind of say, fine, but there'll always be that conflict between Billy and Bridget. So that's avoiding. Then the next one is accommodating. One of the two, either Billy or Bridget, relents on their demands and tells her coworker to continue to deal with the situation as it is. The person making the accommodation will likely feel resentful. So really that would be Billy, not a her. It would be him. So Billy would say, fine, you can have the newer equipment. But there's going to be that resentment, and so the conflict never really solves itself. Then there's dominating, so either Billy or Bridget bullies the other into getting what they want. Now there are two problems. The matter of who gets to use the new equipment, and the working relationship is now damaged even further. So dominating is probably the worst form. I mean, it's good to stand up for yourself, but not dominate, you know. So the next one is compromise. So Billy and Bridget agree that if Bridget is able to arrive at work before Billy, Bridget will have the option of using the newer equipment. Bridget might still feel this is not totally fair, and she wouldn't have to adjust her schedule. So again, with compromise, you may lose something. That person could have a kid. They could babysit. There's a whole lot of other things when it comes to coworkers when we're out there. That if you're compromising, then sometimes you're losing something, and you have to adjust your schedule in order to do something that really we should be working together. Which leads us to the last one, is collaborating. So Billy and Bridget create a schedule that allows them to use the new equipment equally. Still somewhat of a compromise for both. But, it could be like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday thing. Since somebody gets there earlier and somebody else gets it like Tuesday and Thursday, depending on, the week. Or maybe they could split it up every other week, but they could collaborate together to come up with the best solution to a common problem. This happens all the time at work. A lot of times, a lot of these you can use in order to kind of eventually get to the point of collaborating. But when you're like the new person on the job, for me, I'm usually pretty accommodating at first because I'm still learning. Once I get my foothold in there, though, and I start to understand the job, then I start to collaborate a lot more with people. So here are some more suggestions for resolving conflicts with coworkers. So first is separate the person from the problem. So don't let personality difference cloud what the real issue is. So it's really be logical. Think about who the person is, not what the problem is, but who the person is. And don't play the blame game or name calling or anything like that. Just say, let's talk about this. Number 2, focus on the issue at hand, not past or unrelated matters. So if it has to do with, say, the new equipment, don't say, well, they've also done this, they've also done that, and I bet they're going to do this in the future. None of us are mind readers, and none of us can see the future. So really just stick to the issue at hand. Number 3, generate a variety of options to resolve the problem. So, maybe write down a list sometime when you're at work. Just say, here are my bullet points that I want to follow to resolve the problem. Number 4, which is very important, is to stay calm. Most of the time, people generally are good people. So stay calm and just speak to them the way you would want to be spoken to at work. Number 5, really listen to the other person. And one thing I've learned is to show somebody listening is active listening is something where it's nonverbal, but you might nod your head and a lot of times lean forward and keep eye contact, not intimidating, but keep eye contact and, just nod that you understand what they're saying, that you're acknowledging what they're saying. So use I statements and avoid you statements. So because that's playing the blame game. Say, so you're doing this, you're doing that, and that just causes more conflict. It makes the other person feel bad. In this situation, say, I would really appreciate being able to use the new equipment. I haven't had a chance to. I would like to see what it's like so that, say you're not there one day, I would like to be able to use it, and I'd really appreciate if we could kind of figure out a schedule together. Number 7, one of the goals in resolving the conflict should be to maintain the working relationship. So that goes back to all of this, just staying calm, using I statements, making sure, that you're collaborating, you're not dominating. And this way, you continue to have a good relationship with that person at work. And number 8, be prepared for failing to resolve the matter and have a backup plan. Well, if it continues to happen that way and you have a supervisor, that might be the right time to go and say, hey, maybe we should sit down with the supervisor and see what we can kind of come up with. It's difficult for me to change my schedule, but I'm willing to collaborate with you and figure something out. And there's a chance, even if you stay calm and do everything, use I statements, that the person might just be like, no. And they have the right to say no. Just like we all have the right to say no. But if you really feel it's unfair, then, you need to have a backup plan. And so plan 1 fails, maybe ask them, well, how would you like to collaborate? Always work with the other person first. You don't ever really want to bring in a supervisor. You don't want to always be, let's go talk to this person. Let's go talk to that person. I'm going to go to this person's office and talk to them about this problem. Because you can work this out. And, in life, we all need to learn to figure these things out. So keeping these suggestions in mind will help resolve conflicts more quickly and to everyone's satisfaction. So, I suggest that we try this, whenever you're having a difficult time. Say we're in a group together, and if you're having trouble coming up with bullet points or things like that, I could always help with that. And I could help you figure out how to collaborate with the person. But I wouldn't want to be there. I would want y'all to be there. And do it, and really give it a whirl. And see how it goes. And then, come up with a backup plan. Say, well, how would you like to collaborate? Alright, so that's been conflict resolution. For the second class, it'll be a lot shorter. But we are going to go through something that's, it definitely deals with conflict resolution in a lot of ways. So I'll see you for the second class. Bye, everybody.